I don't see what's the point of riot gear if it's a peaceful protest. No one's destroying property. There's no justification for that, and I think that has to do with they talk about a lot of these police officers, mostly all police officers, aren't trained properly in de-escalation.
Yeah. I was about to say, my friend, he's been staying in Germany for a long time, and he says that they take years to become police officers out there, and in America, it's as easy as a 6-month training. It could be as easy as that. Fucking
that's what it is. It's 6 months. It's 6 months of police academy.
It's hard to say if any of these officers had like 10 months or 10 years of training. You know what I mean? Like fucking, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Officers should be in studying human psychology and human social emotional, studies and all of that before they go out into the streets. They should be studying the history of, riots and the history of why people rise up, why people do crimes, all of this. They should be studying that instead of learning how to do fucking push-ups.
Right.
And taking steroids. Motherfuckers look like they're on steroids, dude. I swear to God.
Yeah. I don't know. I just
relax off the hate guilt.
I think more cops need to be educated on human psychology and just the history of being cops in itself, and also just to give you a quick perspective on what it is to become a cop. To become a barber, you need 1,500 hours of work experience. But to become a cop, you need 958 work hours to be an experience to be a cop. So why is it out there that they feel that they have to just rush someone to be basically a savage, to give them a badge and a gun and say, hey, go out there and bully and try to stop as much crime because, hey, it's you against them, instead of saying, hey, you're going to be out there, try to make a difference. There's probably less than 5% of cops out there that are actually trying, and it's because of that whole blue wall. They're just,
a lot of them get silenced.
Yeah, and that's saying a lot in itself by not doing anything. I know there's a lot that can be done, and I know there's a lot that they don't do. You know what I'm saying? So I feel that they're gonna get away with it. They're on the trip of who's gonna stop us. We're supposed to stop us. Nobody's gonna stop us.
Go back to the to George Floyd and the murder scene, right?
Yeah.
They were watch that video again and again, and they are so casual about that. They didn't think that they were gonna get reprimanded for this. They were so used to getting away with these crimes that they were like, oh, who cares? This doesn't matter.
Yeah, why would they feel scared? Because nothing's ever happened to them.
If you see their blank expressions while they just sit there and this guy is begging for his life, it's fucking sickening.
They're very Manchurian, dude. They had no soul. Fucking crazy, dude.
Siobhan has his hands in his pockets. That's what
Hitler looks like those fucking guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Wes, the dude has his hands in his pocket, and he looks so calm. What's going through your head during those 8 minutes when you're applying excessive force on someone who's already have handcuffs? You could have hogtied him.
The other two guys that are lesser known from this had their knees on his back. So why do you need
his leg and holding it? Yeah,
and he's handcuffed.
Why do you need and there's no evidence of him ever resisting at all through that entire thing. They've checked all the footage.
Torture of asphyxiation. How do you say that?
Yeah, asphyxiation.
Further torture.
Yeah, they just released a couple days ago his autopsy came back that he did indeed die of asphyxiation. And there's a myth in the police force where the cops think when you're talking and you say I can't breathe that you're lying. And that's not true, because you're able to talk even if you're not getting air. So that's something that's like has been medically proven that you can talk for a little bit without actually getting the correct amount of oxygen that you need to breathe.
Right.
I did want to point out in the autopsy that it was a personal physician of like a hired physician for the family, and what he did say is that the body was actually dead for up to 5 minutes and 30 seconds. He was already dead after 5 minutes and 30 seconds of them applying pressure on him. And so the extra almost 3 minutes of him basically sitting on kneeling on a dead corpse for that long. Yeah, did they directly just come and pick him up?
I would think they must have called once they realized that he wasn't breathing, I think they probably would have called the paramedics. I mean, you're on a guy's neck for over, 8 minutes? 8 minutes and 45 seconds or something like that?
Keep in mind that there are people recording them the entire time and begging to let him go as well. There were civilians watching saying, like, yo, get your knee off it. Like, he can't breathe, dude. What's going on?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You're going to kill him.
And the poor guy, was screaming for he was calling for his mom, and if anybody knows, his mom died recently before it, so he was basically probably seeing his mom while he was dying right there in the street.
Guys, so I just saw a video of Puerto Rico. There's a video of them. They're protesting there for George Floyd as well, and they freaking brought a guillotine. How do you say that? Guillotine. To the governor's mansion for their Black Lives Matter protest.
Damn.
They carried that like 6 people are carrying it through the crowd. That's badass.
That's no joke.
Are the cops gonna get crazy out there in Puerto Rico too? Isn't it part of the United States?
It's a territory of the United States, yeah. But Puerto Rico has been. They've been going through it too.
The annexation of Puerto Rico. I was going to point out that it's funny that you should bring that up because not a lot of people have thought about that. And I actually have a friend out in Hawaii and Landon. You guys know who he is, Landon.
Yeah.
And he I've talked to him a few times already since this crisis, and he's saying over there it's not even that bad. He said the mainland. He says you mainlanders are going crazy right now. So I don't think it's as much as it's affecting over there. I know there's probably isolated protests, but he says for the most part it's not becoming an issue because of how much people are so in tune with each other over there. So I know there's.
Yeah,
I know there's parts of Hawaii that are really bad and kind of ghetto. I mean, I've seen Dog the Bounty Hunter. We all have.
So I'll speak on that because I've lived in Hawaii for a short period, and I have friends there.
Oh, okay.
And so I have them on my social media and stuff. I will tell you that no, it's not like what is happening here in the mainland.
They're more of a tight-knit community, right? I mean,
yeah, they're very local, they look out for each other there. But honestly, I haven't seen any protests, anything. I had one girl that I met briefly, and she's like a friend of a friend of a good friend, and she posted, "What's up with all these Black Lives Matter hashtags? All lives matter." And so I saw that, and I was like, great. So I just, minded my business, and then 2 days later, she had to post another thing saying, "For all you people giving me heat for saying all lives matter, blah, 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 blah." And she posted something about all lives matter. And I was just like, I didn't even comment on anything that she posted because I'm like, what's the point, She was just out of touch uninformed. It's not about all lives matter right now. It's a given all lives matter. But obviously, Black lives are being really, really affected. So that is the issue that we're talking about right now. So shut the fuck up with all lives matter, you know? We know that already. Then she just posted herself, you know, at the beach surfing and shit. And it was all quiet and calm and beautiful. So that, let me give you the perspective over there. Yeah.
There was a really cool analogy that I read online about all lives matter versus Black lives matter. And it was put into the perspective if there's 5 people at a table and everybody gets food except for Bob. And Bob says, hey, Bob doesn't have food. And the rest of the crowd says, well, we all don't, we all need food. The point is, Bob still doesn't have food. He's still saying, hey, I don't have any food, in which it's like you're saying if all lives matter, but only Black people are being isolated and being killed, then it's no longer, that's a given. Like you said, it's no longer an issue about, the issue at hand is not all lives matter. The issue at hand is Black lives matter. Exactly. Because that's what's being taken from humanity right now. Yeah.
Because police are killing Black bodies. Like, I don't see them killing all these white bodies. Yeah. I don't see that.
Yeah, I saw a fucked up comment of a guy saying, like, yo, like, they make fun of us for not having dads, but they take them away from us. Like, that was so fucked up, dude. I was like, that's crazy.
And, you know, that's just generational struggle of living and being oppressed by the system. And I know it could be anywhere from you being killed to you being thrown in prison, you being forced to, like, sell drugs or be a part of a gang or something. And it's just a never-ending cycle. And all I feel that the American government is doing is just monitoring it. They're just kind of being sheep herders and just, you know, being
they want to be money off it.
Well, like they're letting it happen, and it's benefiting them in a way
because they're not actively being anti-racist.
Right.
They're just like, oh, I'm not racist, but like, what are you doing about other people being racist? You know?
Mm-hmm. It's like saying I'm non-racist, but we need to be anti-racist and actually fight it, as opposed to just look the other way. You know?
I did want to touch on a couple of darker sides of the oppression and the suffering of these people who are just angry and frustrated. In certain parts of the nation right now, there are people fighting back and actually killing cops and, you know, basically fighting them and fighting tooth and nail. Right now, as of now, there has been, in St. Louis, 4 cops were actually shot and killed in the streets. And if you guys, I'll leave a link to my page because I'm pretty out there trying to get as much information about what's going on onto my social media to get it out there because of people who are in denial and people who don't get to see it. But there was people are starting to fight back against these cops, and it's kind of sad because they're being murdered just as well. And I don't feel like that is a direct solution, but it's a direct reflection of how much people are frustrated with something that they cannot control. You're just guilty by association by walking down the street now. You're in a curfew, and I wanted to point out that not only that there's murders in the streets in St. Louis, but also in Florida, also in Vegas, also in New York City as well. Just recently I posted a video of a non-marked undercover police vehicle driving up on a crowd after curfew, and they all get out of the car, and a car comes just hauling ass down the street and actually just takes out a cop, and you see him, you know, flying up in the air and keep going. But my point was they ran up kind of like sheep's in wolf's or wolf and sheep clothing on these people, and they were just caught wrong place at the wrong time. And it shows you that the people are starting to stand up for each other. You know, I bet you probably 100% that the person who did that didn't even know the people that they were going after. He just felt, or whoever felt, the need to protect the people against those cops that had riot gear, that had guns, that they're, you know, who knows who they were. Yeah. They just saw an opportunity. And that's what I feel people are doing out of anger, out of disorganization, out of